Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your TNA news and spoilers. For the June 22nd news, TNA announced that Tommy Dreamer and Rhino will appear at the Impact Wrestling TV tapings that aired this week and take place in New York City on June 25th through 27th at the Grand Ballroom at the Manhattan Center. The popularity of ECW and Dreamer in the New York City market makes this a logical move to sell tickets and generate interest. Thanks to John Gerbrack on Twitter. Follow hashtag Destination X on June 26th. And hashtag TNA NYC will feature the return of the following wrestlers: Low Key at One World Warrior on Twitter. Brian Cage, Homicide, Great Muda. Tommy Dreamer worked the CCW Indie event in Coral Springs, Florida on Saturday night this past weekend and wrote the following the next day, apparently retiring his sky-high sit-down spinebuster move. Quote, a rough day, my knee, hip, back, and ankle all hurting. Had to get dressed for the floor. Sucked Coral Springs, Florida. Saw my last ever sky-high rip. Rest in peace. I'm also in so much pain and now getting on flight, and I usually only feel pain when I fly. Time to channel my inner hardcore. Can't someone cane me? Unquote. Jimmer also revealed that how he celebrated his much talked about segment with Dixie Carter on Thursday night from last week. After dropping the truth, hashtag extreme pipe bomb on at TNA Dixie at Impact Wrestling. I celebrated like a true champion 10 at White Castle Cheeseburgers. Yum! After the Crime Time interview came out on TMZ, Chad Gaspard tweeted the following: Yo, 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 at GTG1284. Do you have at TNA Dixie's number? Maybe TMZ does and can tell her the news. Jeff Jarrett noted that he had 3 productive business meetings for Global Force Wrestling in Los Angeles this past week before joining Jeff Hardy, Hermie Sadler, and their families for a big family vacation on the other banks of North Carolina this past weekend. While Jeff Hardy as himself has been announced for TNA's New York City tapings this week, they are also still advertising Willow to appear. A fan on Twitter asked Dixie Carter if tickets will be sold at the door for TNA's New York City tapings this week. She replied the following: potentially, I'm pretty sure all 3 will sell out or be close. Hope he comes. Spread the word. Matt Hardy's wife, Reba Sky, noted on Twitter that she will be in attendance for TNA's New York City tapings as well this week. As Reba was born in Queens, and as noted, Hardy will be in action. TNA will be announcing the result of their 4-side versus 6-side poll later in this results video. Nashville Global Force Wrestling has reached a partnership agreement with New Japan Pro Wrestling, as well as TNA, the top wrestling promotion in the Eastern Hemisphere. The companies will exchange talent for events in both the United States and Japan. NJPW originated in 1972 under the auspices of Japanese wrestling legend Antonio Inoki. It's a globally recognized brand in the world of wrestling, and its attendance annually ranks among the best. New Japan Pro Wrestling is excited to align with Jeff Jarrett and his vision for Global Force Wrestling, said Naoki Shugabayashi, NJPW chairman of the board. Our brand is well known in many parts of the world and is an opportunity for us not only to expand it, but to bring our fans the very best in wrestling talent from the West. Jarrett, the founder and CEO of GFW, is pleased to add this partnership to one already announced with top Mexican promotion AAA. What NJPW has done in the past 40 years speaks for itself, as Jarrett says. Several top American stars have appeared there through the years, including current WGP Heavyweight Champion AJ Styles. To be able to share our talent in Japan is exciting, and to bring top Japanese stars here will expose our fan base to another exciting style and terrific brand. Just like AAA, Global Force Wrestling will do everything possible to put the best possible talent in front of its rabid fans. GFW announced its partnership with AAA on April 29th. TNA has announced that a fan vote determined that the company will bring back a six-sided ring at New York City and will continue to have it in their future, ongoing. And it was held on Wednesday prior to the tapings, and through the Friday, Manhattan. That's being today, when I'm doing all 3 days of the results. There was some grumbling from Austin Aries and Ethan Carter III. I couldn't tell how much of EC3's complaining was in character, but I got the feeling that Aries was shooting straight from his frustration with the move when he tweeted against Six Sides last week. In a related note, Aries issued a self-imposed social media moratorium on Monday night and then added a hashtag to say he's getting out of his own way. Dixie Cutter revealed on Twitter that Robbie E. and his girlfriend Brooke Tessmacher have finished the CBS taping from The Amazing Race. As she tweeted, the couple began the race on May 31st in New York City, and the show begins airing on CBS this fall. Tessmacher and Robbie could be returning at this week. Indeed, have returned at this week's taping. Vince Russo recently did a Q&A with readers of TNAinsider.com. Highlights from this was he was asked what was the idea and mindset behind your shoots in the ring during 2002-2003 TNA era. To reinvent the business a bit, go beyond the Attitude Era. In 2010-2011, Mr. Anderson looked to be on his way to becoming a big-time player in TNA. Merchandise was selling, he was feuding with main event caliber wrestlers, and the crowd was getting behind him. But when he finally was rewarded with 2 world title reigns, it felt like he was never properly given the chance to make those reigns successful. That's why both only lasted a month. Why were his reigns cut short when he had so much going for him? From what I can remember, he suffered a real bad concussion at the time. I know that derailed him for a while. What do you feel went wrong following January 4th, 2010? The debut of Hulk Hogan. I just think people's expectations were too high. One person isn't going to turn an entire organization around. It takes much more than that. Then he was asked, was there any one situation or one point in time in 2012 where you just decide it's time to depart the company? Yes, when Bruce Pritchard became a part of creative. Nothing against Bruce personally, there just became too many chiefs at that time. He was asked about following 2012 departure from TNA, the very first episode, Without You at the writing helm, dropped in the ratings. Over 2 years later, TNA is at one of the lowest ratings points in their history. What are your thoughts on this? There's only one Vince Russo. There's a certain way to write wrestling that I'm not sure everybody understands or capable of doing. It's just a style, that's all. If Dixie Carter would call you and offer you a job as head of creative again, would you accept? That would depend on what she actually meant by head of creative. Former TNA Tag Team Champion Hernandez recently spoke between the ropes. Here are some of the highlights from the interview. To go back a little bit, back to the Dixie Carter, she was talking back to Vince Russo. Okay. And then he was asked, why is he no longer with TNA after his contract expired in May? Maybe you can tell me. I'll be very honest with you, the last time I was on TNA was in November when I had the Feast or Fire match. And believe it or not, that is the last time I've spoken to anyone in the office. And I'm not even joking, anything from anybody since I saw them in Orlando or in November. To be honest, I knew I was still a part of the roster, and my check came every month. Periodically, I would check the Impact website to see if I was still on there and laughed about it. It was definitely a head scratcher right there, not an email. Text, phone call, nothing. In fact, my contract was up in May 12th, but I thought I was up in May 14th. So I woke up on May 12th, and my timeline was flooded on Twitter with my contract had expired. I looked at my contract and I looked on the TNA website, and they pulled me off the website. They already unfollowed me on Twitter. He laughed about that. It was like Bizarro World, brother. Returning to TNA after working in Mexico for 9 months and being promised a singles match, going back to talking about Mr. Anderson. Promised about a singles match push, but instead being paired with Anarchia. It was very difficult for me because you were blatantly lied to. This wasn't no miscommunication. I don't go down to Mexico for 9 months of my life, and it's a miscommunication that I'm coming back to a tag deal. When I left, I was a tag team champion with Matt Morgan. So there's no... Okay, this is a Supermax here they're talking about. There's no miscommunication about that. Oh, you're going to go down there and come back as a tag? There was no miscommunication, at least on my part, so of course there was a lot of animosity on what was going down. Former TNA champion Eric Young appeared on the Thursday morning Fox and Friends to promote his No Limits television show that airs on Animal Planet. And additional TNA stars appeared to promote the Impact tapings as well. In New York City, the interviews were conducted inside a TNA ring outside the studio. You can view the Young interview at foxnews.com. The brief interview featured a lot of talk about No Limit shows, but it also included plenty of TNA footage. The new TNA champion Bobby Lashley also showed up at the end of the interview to confront Young. They went back to the ring for a few more minutes as Lashley, Gunner, Bully Ray, and Velvet Sky clowned around inside the ring with the show host. It's a good promotion for the wrestlers and the TNA brand, thanks to .net member Ernesto Cruz. And I'll show you the video link for that. TNA also announced that in New York, they're bound for glory. Their biggest show of the year will be held October 12th in Tokyo, Japan. Japanese wrestling star Great Muta was on hand for the announcement as well. Wow, bold move by TNA. The problem is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday night. It is 9 a.m. on Monday in Tokyo. That means Bound for Glory will be seen on a very long delay, or people will be able to watch it live early Saturday morning. I'm not sure either is ideal for your biggest show of the year. TNA is holding the first of 3 nights of Impact TV tapings in New York City at the Manhattan Center Grand Ballroom, and hyping Bobby Lashley versus Jeff Hardy for the TNA title. An appearance by the Great Muta and Tommy Dreamer and Rhino were also advertised for the Wednesday night tapings. The latest is from Talk is Jericho podcast hosted by Chris Jericho, features Paul Heyman and Edge together in studio. The show dropped Wednesday and was the second part of that will air on Friday, being today. As Jericho was also interviewed recently, released by WWE performer Drew Galloway, aka Drew McIntyre. It's a good interview as Galloway expresses his surprise in being released. Yet he also optimistic and excited about going to work on the indie scene again. Stone Cold's new family-friendly show dropped on Tuesday and features the first part of an interview with Vince Russo regarding Kiss and how he got to start with WWE. Austin's latest Unleashed episode features Ring of Honor consultant and MLW podcaster Court Bowers. Roddy Piper's latest podcast guest was TNA star Bully Ray, who was also very good during a recent appearance on Jericho's podcast. Goldberg's new podcast, Who's Next with Goldberg, features an interview with singer Chris Daughtry. And you can find JR's, Piper's, Jericho's, Austin's and Goldberg's podcast at podcastone.com. Colt Cabana's latest podcast features an interview with Rip Rogers. This newest show will likely debut later today at tsmradio.com/Colt Cabana. In Your Head Radio interview with Daniel Puder, hosted by Jackie Jones and 1 Inch Biceps. Recapped by Vic Giovanni, show available at iyhwrestling.com. Highlights of it was whether the $1 million Tough Enough name was misleading. You know, the name wasn't misleading. It was the actions upon some individuals that misled the people. If you tell somebody like myself, which I knew in the contract was the contract, but if you tell the general public that is a big competition to get ratings, and then you lie to the public because you offered that athlete, which was me, instead of your $250,000 a year for a 4-year deal, actually guaranteed 1 year. You offer $50,000 for the second year. You're basically backing out of your commitment to the fan base and the public. Personally, I knew what was going on, but if you want to lie to people, that's their decision. Whether Kurt Angle would have a shot if he went back to the Olympics? No, he wouldn't have a good shot whatsoever. Number one, he wouldn't be able to pass a drug test. Number two, he's an old man. And number three, I went to Dana White and we tried to put it together, and Kurt chickened out. So at the end of the day, I've always said this: Kurt's that guy that says he's the All-American. He drank his milk, ate his Wheaties, married the girl next door. But the problem is, was he married a girl, and he lived next to a strip club, and that's how it works. He went down the tubes because he started doing other things and getting off track with his life and being a horrible role model for kids because he's doing a bunch of drugs and trying to serve himself and his ego. TNA wrestler Gunner was honored as the Veterans of the Night at the New York Mets game on this past Tuesday. You can view a photo of him at the ceremony at twitter.com Impact Wrestling. Twitter.com/Impact Wrestling. This is really going all out with their promotional work for the New York City tapings. It's encouraging to see, and hopefully it will pay off for them. I also hope the company will include clips of some of their biggest media appearances on Impact Wrestling, as it will make the company look major league. TNA has announced that Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy will face TNA Tag Team Champions, the Wolves, for the title at Destination X special that was taped on Thursday night and airs on July 31st. Former WWE announcer and broadcaster Josh Matthews was just released by the company, and he was backstage at TNA tapings on Wednesday night in New York City at the Manhattan Center, according to a report by Mike Johnson. The following was taped on Wednesday night for New York City, New York. This is the first night of the taping, July 17th. Kurt Angle came out announcing the return of the six-sided ring. He said the company made mistakes in the past, and tonight marks the official reboot of the brand. Angle then introduced Taz. Taz cut a promo about how the roster today looks, exactly like the same locker room back in the ECW days. Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray were out next. Ray wants to keep his promise of putting Dixie Carter through a table. Dreamer called TNA the new madhouse of Extreme, and that the fans were the biggest part of the changes. EC3 and Rhino interrupted, as EC3 said Dixie isn't going through a table. Dreamer said this isn't a PG show and wants to see less talking and more action. This got a tag match started immediately. EC3 and Rhino defeated Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray. Didn't say how. Then Austin Aries retained the TNA X Division champion in a gauntlet match. It came down to Aries and Sonata. Others involved in the match were Eddie Edwards, Manic, Davey Richards, and DJZ. MVP then cut a promo saying he was wrestling tonight under protest. Eric Young and Bobby Roode defeated MVP and Kenny King by disqualification as MVP used his crutch. Madison Rain defeated Brittany in a no DQ match. No count out match as well. And Bobby Lashley defeated Jeff Hardy to retain the TNA Championship. This is where the second taping was believed to start, for July 24th. Dixie Carter, Rhino, Rockstar Spud, and EC3 came out. Carter talked down the fans in New York City and mocked Tommy Dreamer's promo from a few weeks ago. Dreamer and Bully Ray were out next with a table. A brawl broke out with EC3 and Rhino as Dixie was saved from being put through a table. Devon hit the ring and attacked EC3 as 3D put EC3 through a table. They taped an explosion match, Velvet Sky versus the TNA Knockout Champion Gail Kim in a non-title match. And Velvet Sky defeated Gail Kim. Low Key defeated DJZ. Great Muda defeated Robbie E. After the match. James Ford cut a promo on Muda, running him down and saying he was another old guy coming here at the expense of young guys and help build the company. James then attacked Muda and Sonata hit the ring to make the save. Sonata then attacked Muda with a chair and gave him a moonsault. And that probably sets up a future match against him and Muda. Jeff Hardy was out next. He said, "We haven't seen the last of Willow, but the people wanted him back instead." He introduced his brother, Matt Hardy, and Matt says he had to leave to get better, and now he is ready to become tag team champions with his brother again, as Matt and Jeff challenged the Wolves to a title match at Destination X, and the Wolves accepted. Kurt Angle then brought out Austin Aries to find out his decision for Destination X. Would he forfeit his X Division Championship, since he just recently won it, for a title shot or not? TNA Champion Lashley and MVP interrupted. Aries then tells MVP he has unfinished business and hands the X Division title over to Angle. So, it's now no champion again. So it will now be Lashley versus Aries for the TNA Championship at Destination X taping. Dixie Carter cuts a promo from the balcony with King Mo. He hasn't been there in quite a while. Don't remember. I think they were trying to set up King Mo versus what's his nuts? Jeff Jarrett always say slap nuts. The other guy, Rampage Jackson. And she ran down Dreamer. And EC3, Rhino, Rockstar Spud defeated Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, and Devon. As Devon was attacked by a guy in a sweatshirt that turned out to be former WWE star Gene Snitsky. And I do have some pictures that I will be posting for this, probably, and the Destination X. If I can find any more pictures from tonight's taping, I'll do that as well. Atlas Security went after Snitsky, and former WWE star Ezekiel Jackson then showed up and attacked Dreamer to set up the win for EC3. Rhino and Spud, and yes, also showed up here. And that was the end of that taping from that particular night, from the first night of tapings. And the source came from PWInsider.com. Destination X, airing July 31st. Kurt Angle cut a promo from the balcony and put over TNA's six-sided ring and the company in general. And this might have been redone from the previous night. A little bit different. Team Dixie comes out to huge heat. Ezekiel Jackson and Sissy are wearing the Dixieland t-shirt. Rockstar Spud and Rhino are also there with Dixie Carter. EC3 cuts a promo and challenges Tommy Dreamer, Devon, and Bully Ray to one final battle. Dixie also called out Bully for later in the evening. The Hardys versus Wolves for the TNA titles. I'll show some of the pictures on that one. Up next. Both teams come out to big pops. The Wolves retain their titles after hitting a powerbomb backstabber combo on Matt Hardy. And this was said to be an excellent match, for the best one for TNA in a very long time. And I'll show you some more pictures of DJ Z-Mion and versus Manic versus Low-Key without next. The winner qualifies for next division title shot. This is the first of three-way dances. Low-Key won after a kick crusher on Manic, which was a great match. Jay Storm come out and cut a promo on Sonata and then talked about how they are friends now. Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray, and Devon come out through a huge pop. They cut promos and respond to Ethan's challenge from earlier as Team Dixie come out on the entranceway and interrupts. An 8-man Extreme Weapons tag match was announced for the following week, which will be taped on Friday night, which was tonight. Apparently it will be EC3, Rhino, Ezekiel, and Snitsky versus Dreamer, Bully, Devon, and a mystery partner. Samoa Joe versus Homicide versus Tiger Uno is a final three-way dance. As Joe comes out to a big pop and as does Homicide. Joe destroys Tiger and got the pin on Homicide after a muscle buster. Homicide and Joe followed Ring of Honor's Code of Honor. After the match, the vacant X Division title match will be Joe versus Low-Key versus Sonata. Well, it's going to be another triple threat match. Austin Aries versus Bobby Lashley for the world title was up next and was the main event. Aries got the title shot after giving up his X Division title last week. Lashley retained with a spear after blocking Aries' finisher, which is his brain buster. And probably some more fillers. Programming for July 24th Impact was here as Jeremy Borash came out to hype up the crowd while they waited for some seats to be filled before starting the show, and the show was sold out, supposedly. Bobby Roode versus MVP opened up the show, but MVP doesn't come out. Roode goes back looking for him as the crowd is hot to start the show. MVP and Roode end back up at ringside. Kenny King came out to help MVP, but Eric Young made the save as Roode defeated MVP in a Falls Count Anywhere match in the middle of the ring with a sharpshooter. Next match was Tara Terrell versus Gail Kim for the TNA Knockout title. That was up next. Velvet Sky and Angelina Love interfered, attacking Tara and causing the disqualification. This was said to be a good back and forth. Decent match before the interference. Beautiful people laid both Tara and Gail out. Mr. Anderson and Gunner versus Bram and Magnus was up next. Magnus and Bram win a quick match after a double team finisher. They beat on Anderson and Gunner after the match until Samuel Shaw ran out and makes the save. Bram ends up beating Shaw down also. Abyss runs out and saves Shaw and Anderson from a beatdown. Abyss then clears the ring and Magnus stops Bram from going back in. Correspondent says that Destination X taping is just now beginning. It could be that the first hour of July 31st episode on Spike is regular Impact and the second hour is the Destination X special. Then Kurt Angle cuts a promo from the balcony again, puts over TNA's six-sided ring and the company in general again. Looks like the same results. Dixie came out, Ezekiel Jackson Snitsky, ring, Dixieland shirt, yada yada yada. Also Spud and Rhino were also there with Dixie Carter, Ethan Carter III, cut a promo and challenges Dreamer, D1, and Bully Ray. The one final match is Dixie called out Bully Ray for later in the evening. The Hardys versus the Wolves for the TNA titles is up next. Both teams come out to big pops. And that's what came from WrestlingInc.com. Very similar, like I said. Sometimes that's why I get two reports. August the 7th taping. Looks like it's a TNA part of August the 7th Impact taping as well from New York City. Thanks to Michaela R. for the following spoilers. Nux and the Freak of the Menagerie versus Robbie E. and Jesse Gutters was up first. As I got some pictures of that. Menagerie gets a win with a long, boring tag match. According to our correspondent, course, I got a picture of them on stage when I was reading or whatever, coming to the ring. Dixie Carter and King Mo take a seat on the balcony to watch the next match. 8-man action. Hardcore War was up next, what it's called. Tommy Dreamer and E.C. Carter III were the first two out for their teams, and they start the match off. The two new wrestlers come in every 2 minutes with a weapon. Devon and Rhino were out next. Snitsky and Bully Ray were out next. Ezekiel Jackson and Al Snow were out next. Well, there's a mystery partner for one team. And Snow got a big pop, and we got a "We Want Head" chant from the crowd. TNA actually passed out heads to people in the crowd before Snow came out, essentially spoiling it for the people in the crowd. So actually did a moonsault out of the ring. Team 3D got the win for their team after hitting a 3D on Rhino. Bully Ray wants to put Dixie through a table, but she won't come out down from the balcony. Fans want to see this too. They tease a fight between Bully and King Mo, as Bully promises that he will put Dixie through a table tonight on this episode. The ring is cleared and they get ready for another segment. King Mo then escorted Dixie to the ring. Rhino, Rockstar Spud, and EC3 were also out next. Apparently Dixie has fired Snitsky and Ezekiel already. They're interrupted by Dreamer and Team 3D, who bring a table out. A big brawl broke out, but Dixie escaped. The TNA locker room emptied out and blocked her from returning to the back, running to the back. They toss her back in the ring, and Bully puts her through the table with a bully bomb. The crowd popped big for this. The roster surrounding the six-sided ring on the apron and applauded, while Dreamer and Team 3D are in the ring as Dixie is laid out on the table. Dixie gets stretchered out to end the taping. Thanks to the source of Wrestling.Inc. for that. WrestlingInc.com for that. News and notes from Thursday's Impact Wrestling tapings in New York City. EC3 was legitimately busted open at the tapings on Thursday night and was hospitalized after the show. Carter reportedly required up 12 staples after being injured during a Hardcore Rules match taped to air in July on Fight TV. The taping on Thursday night was sold out, and tonight's taping as well apparently sold out. Friday nights, Fight TV Scott Fishman was in the arena, and other Fight TV executives were also in attendance on Thursday night. Thanks to the source of PW Insider for that, as well as the Wrestling Observer and Figure 4 Online. Earlier today, it was announced that TNA Stars would be competing in the first at Wrestle One show in Tokyo, Japan on July 6th. The following matches were announced that will feature TNA Stars: Tajiri and Yosuke Kodama versus Ethan Carter III and Rockstar Spud from TNA. TNA Tag Title matches: The Wolves versus Minoru Tanaka and Koji Kanemoto. X-Rated title match was Sonata versus Great Muta, like I was explaining earlier. And that source came from Puder Spirit. The following was taped for Friday night from tonight in New York City at the Manhattan Center. TNA Wrestling taping for August the 7th. Partial explosive match, which was internet exclusive only. Madison Rayne defeated Brittany. Bram defeated Abyss in a Monster Small match. Magnus got involved. So I don't know if that's going to be on the taping or Explosion. MVP Kenny King and TNA champion Lashley were out. Probably this is starts the show. MVP said no one is left to challenge Lashley for the title. Bobby Roode comes out and challenges Lashley. They all attack Roode. Eric Young and Austin Aries run out to make the save. Next match was the first match was Bromans and DJZ defeating Mr. Anderson, Gunner, and Samuel Shaw. Beautiful people come out, and Angelina Love wants her title back, of course. Taryn Terrell comes out and says Love cost her a chance at becoming champion. TNA Knockout Champion Gail Kim comes out next and informs everyone that Kurt Angle allowed her to handpick her next opponent. Kim decides to defend her title against all Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, and Taryn Terrell in a fatal four-way big ball breakfast match. A fatal four-way as a big ball breaks out. That's all stated on that. Samoa Joe then defeated Sonata and Low-Ki, so he's the X-Men champion, looks like. But it didn't say for it was for a title, but for the previous tapings, yeah, Samoa Joe defeated both of them. Okay, TNA Impact tapings for August the 14th. Bully Ray kicked off the tapings talking about living up to his promise of putting Dixie Carter to the table. He introduced Devon, saying he couldn't have it done without him. Matt and Jeff Hardy were out next, saying it was the first time in 12 years that they are all in the ring together. Bully Ray suggests they have one more match. TNA Champion Lashley and EVP and Kenny King then defeated Eric Young, Bobby Roode, and Austin Aries in their match. EC3, Rhino, and All-Star Spud were out next for their match. Spud wanted a moment of silence for Dixie Carter. EC3 demanded that Bully Ray be fired. Kurt Angle came out and said they were in New York City, not Nashville, and they could either wrestle or get the hell out of the ring. EC3 refused to wrestle. Angle warns them that if they don't wrestle, they will be arrested, and they will have New York Police Department come out and arrest them. Spud said that he has diplomatic immunity. The cops put handcuffs on Rhino and Spud. EC3 offers cash to the police. Of course, I thought that's going to be an automatic arrest anyways. You didn't know? Payoff. Bribery. They throw the money down and they handcuffed him. Explosion matches. Whatever. TNA Tag Team Champions, the Wolves defeated the Bromans. That's what it says. Explosion match. Abyss was out next and wants his barbed wire. 2x4. Janice back. Brandon Magnus comes out holding Janice. Abyss suggests a table, tacks, fire and barbed wire match with Janice hanging above the ring. Bram then accepts. They all brawl with Abyss, almost getting Janice back. Bram and Magnus grab it and bail. Low-Ki won a six-way elimination match, including Homicide, Tiger Uno, Crazy Steve, DJ Z, and Manic. Next match was Team 3D defeating the Hardy Boys. After the match, everyone hugged. Bully Ray got on the mic and said they were a dying breed of tag team. Then they introduced the current tag team champions, the Wolves, to celebrate with them. That closes out your spoilers for July and August. Stay tuned for more when they do some more tapings. Thanks again. That'll be the end of my taping for the month and a half of TNA tapings. Thanks again. Peace out. God bless. See you when I want to be you. If you didn't know, you better call me, bro.